Mr. Jack, and we're going on a journey. There are a number of really interesting historic homes here in the Nashville area. My wife and I have been to quite a few of them: the Hermitage, Belle Meade, Belmont, the Carnton. There are a few more we haven't seen yet. My wife swears up and down that Belle Meade is the most beautiful of all of them. It's the most elegant. I think it started out about 5,400 acres. No, it started out about 250 acres. I think late 1700s. Giles Harding, he had his son John Harding running it there for a while. John bought some more land, and they had quite an operation here. It's interesting too because of the slaves that were used. I know we all have visions of slaves out picking cotton, and that was true. That happened. But you forget that they were also the skilled laborers. They were in charge of the grist mill and the sawmill and other operations. And eventually, these were quite skilled artisans back then. I remember at one place, the slave who was running the sawmill was so skilled that he was hired out by other farms in the area to help them set up sawmills and actually run the businesses. Isn't that great to know? There's another side to all of this. Behind me is the cabin that the Hardings lived in. Early 1800s. They added to it. When the Hardings bought the place, this is the room that they moved into. This was it. It had a loft upstairs, but this is furnished pretty much as it was back in the early 1800s. I think it was around 1807. To show their status, they had the walls stenciled. This is the style of the times. The floor has a painted oilcloth. I guess that's what that is. But then not long after the Hardings moved in, they built this other room. I don't know much about it. Oh, it's kind of interesting. Look at the wallpaper. It's all newspapers. Again, they said this was to show their status. I guess that they knew how to read. I'm not sure. But this was eventually sold whenever Mr. Harding bought or built the big house, which you've seen some pictures of. He became very famous for his horse breeding. In the mid 1800s, I think, well, right after the Civil War. I don't understand this either. A lot of the plantations around here lost their horses during the Civil War. They were confiscated by the armies, but the horses here were left. The Hardings got to retain their horses. I'm not exactly sure why. That'd be one for the history books. That'd be one to research, wouldn't it? But anyhow, they got to keep them in, I think it was 1860s, 1870s. The horse racing that was being done here was, he brought home more purses, more winnings than any other horse breeder, if I recall my history right. And he was able to retain this place, I think until the late 1800s, early 1900s. The Harding family was able to keep it. They had some really lavish parties here, and people would come, 20, 30, 40 years after the Civil War. And we're just so impressed that there was something like this still existing in the Deep South. Of course, the enslaved families were free, but I think 5 of the enslaved families stayed on and helped work the farm. I got a really interesting story on that one coming up. Somebody I want you to meet. but that's going to be next season. Now on this farm they had grist mill, cotton mill, sawmill, but they eventually became very famous for the horse breeding. Early 1800s they began to run ads in the Nashville newspaper that they had a stud farm out here. And that's what made them rich and famous. Make sure you put Belle Meade on your list of things to see, places to come when you're down here. They have a couple of new tours. We've done the house and different things. They have wine tasting, but one that I think is going to be really interesting, I think it'll be a real winner, is they are doing a Jubilee tour, which is to show off the skills of the African Americans who helped make this place such a prominent place. It wasn't just all picking cotton. These were highly skilled, highly intelligent people who these plantations would not have made it without their assistance as slaves, and then after the war as former slaves. Now your tickets would include a tour of the mansion, going inside to see how elegant it really is, and it is. It's really quite elegant. I think that's it for now. So for now, make sure you tell your mom and them I said hey.